Talk facilitation, Jerry.
Yeah. Hey, I put the fun in dysfunction, man.
Everything in facilitation is designed to reduce dysfunction
and increase consensus. Does my head look fat? I'm backing up now. Whoa, dude, that was a facilitation fail.
Consensus is?
I can live with it and support it. That's
right,
the thing I'm going to get a tattoo of right there.
Here we go. Facilitation straight talk.
Boom.
Boom.
All right, you ready to do this?
Let's do it, man. Come on.
I feel like we've done this before. Jerry, let's talk about leadership. Leadership has come up several times in our video series so far. And the reason why, as you and I know, is that there is a natural link between facilitation skills and leadership. In this video, we just like to go a little deeper into the notion of a facilitative leader, which truly is just another term for servant leadership. The term servant leadership traces back to an essay by Robert Greenleaf in 1970. So while the term may have been coined in 1970, the idea truly traces back to biblical times. You know, I don't think it matters where you are on the leadership spectrum, whether you're more free and open or closed and directive, but you can add elements to your leadership style that are more facilitative in approach and get the most out of your subordinates. So it should come as no shocker here that since the beginning of time, graybeards like us like to complain about the new generation of workers. But this generation right now, they want to be involved, they want a voice, they want to make an impact, and they want to know the bigger picture. No need to label them as millennials, generation X, Y, whatever. They just want to be a part of the solution space. Thinking back to our days, Jerry, even when we were young, we wanted the same things. I just think that leaders and organizations just hadn't evolved yet to the point to be able to accommodate it. The culture's changed, the workplace has changed. I think even kind of in the strict kind of hierarchy of the government and military, that junior members thrive when given a voice, help to inform decisions, and feel part of something greater than themselves. What do you think, brother?
What you're talking about generations, it just made me think of like a quick story to tell. Recently, you know, here in Georgia, I got my Marine Corps League buddies, and you want to talk about generations. We got guys all the way up to 102. And I drew some fire the other day when we were talking, you know, got some attention. When they were asking me what I was doing for a living, I started talking about facilitation. Some of the old breed guys were like, what are you talking about? How's the Corps changed? Don't you just tell Marines what to do and they do it? And I said, yeah, sure. They're still charged the hill. There's still tactical level decisions that they're made every day where you need to have that instant response to orders. You're always going to have that military discipline. But like you were talking about, this new generation, they want to help solve strategic problems. And for culture problems, strategic problems, you need a team for that. You want to get input from your group to do that. You do that by starting with the why, telling the team what the purpose is of what they're doing. We teach how to do that in the course. We teach this by starting every single meeting with the purpose, what the why is, what the product is going to be when it's at the end of that working group or meeting. Later, when we start to give instructions, which is, I think, one of the golden nuggets of the course, we'll probably talk about it later. But when we give those instructions, we tell people why we're going to have them do a technique before we even tell them what the technique is. If you're a facilitative leader, you want to give the group the why and the purpose so that you can keep them focused, so you can get that input that you want to get. And I think perhaps most importantly, you want to get that support you're going to need later to implement that group's decisions.
Absolutely. You know, you made me think when you were talking about giving directions, when a leader gives unclear directions, it's just amazing the two things that come out of the subordinates after they get unclear directions. The first one is one guy looks at another guy and says, what are we doing?
Right.
And then the other guy looks back and is like, why are we doing this? It's amazing.
Yeah.
Thinking back to our course, you know, one of the recommendations we have when we talked about servant leadership was the very simple thing of using your ears more than your mouth. Of course, like you said, leaders give orders and give directions, but when time is not of the essence, giving your subordinates a voice is huge. And just to give you an example from my pre-facilitation training days, I was at a unit and we kind of had a contentious intel problem that we were working on. And I decided to hold what I call then a roundtable discussion, where all the Marines would belly up to the table and basically take off their ranks, and everybody had a voice. And so I can remember, as we were going around the room, there was this young Marine that I didn't really know that well, and several different layers of leadership between her and I. But anyway, when she got the mic, the stuff that she was saying and how she was thinking about the problem completely changed my perception as a leader about her and her abilities just from that moment. So if you'd have taken away that roundtable discussion, I would have never known what she was capable of, despite her, rank and her quiet demeanor. And just to take this story a little bit further, after I retired and grew this beard, I was doing an intel teaching gig with alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. And sure enough, there she was in the class as a mid-level analyst for the ATF, and she was running circles around the other students. But the moral of the story is, you don't know your people unless you use these, right? In addition to this.
Yeah, Aaron, I love that story. I've heard you tell it several times. And I know she was successful because of the facilitation techniques that you demonstrated to her, right? But I think what you're talking about, I know what you're talking about, is active listening, because we teach you that in the course. If my wife were to walk in here right now, she'd start laughing and rolling around on the floor, cracking up. If she heard me talk about active listening, certainly I'm one of those spouses that gets caught with that. Are you listening to me?
Yeah,
that's
guilty
me,
as
right?
charged.
Guilty as charged. Right? We all do that. So I think most of us know that active listening requires, good eye contact, body language, responses. I'm listening, baby. But our course goes a lot further than just the nodding head or the drinking bird, as they say. It's crucial for a facilitator to use active listening when they actually capture your input as well. To do that, we teach how to use clarifying or follow-on questions, confirmation questions, and that's part of that active listening. The example you're talking about earlier, you could draw something out of someone that they're trying to say. So I think the bottom line is that a facilitative leader is a servant leader, using those active listening skills as the foundation for clarity, understanding, and trust, which are all those things that are necessary to move your group towards collaboration. And I also wanted to point out is that it's incredibly important to have these active listening skills in these virtual sessions that we're all doing nowadays, because you're missing all that nonverbal communication. A leader just really needs those skills, I think.
Absolutely. One of the things that I learned going through facilitation training and thinking about active listening is that it's really different than just sitting down and listening to somebody, where you have to force yourself, because it doesn't come natural, and it takes practice, where you have to force yourself to fight your brain from processing what they're saying and immediately thinking about your response. And instead, you take that brain power and you turn it and you actively listen and really understand what that person is saying, and then you formulate your response. And it just does not come natural. You have to practice it. Ultimately, I think, to kind of summarize this whole discussion on the facilitative leader or the servant leader, is really, it boils down to a mindset, where if you just have a mindset of, hey, I have some really awesome subordinates with abilities, and they've got opinions and they've got thoughts. If I can just include them or just get them involved in the decision-making process, it's just amazing how they come alive and they really respond to it.
Yeah, I love that, Aaron. Getting that group involved, get that buy-in and inclusion. All right, so everybody who hasn't subscribed yet, I know you have, but if you haven't, go ahead and click that subscribe, hit the like button, and give us some comments. We're getting a lot of comments, mostly from the text messages and Facebook, about how glorious my beard is. I love it. Let's put some of those comments on YouTube for everybody to see. Boom.
Boom.